Hey, I'm James McDougall.
I'm Lexi Grabowski.
I'm Briar Knowles.
My name is Jessica Malka.
I'm Christy Murdoch.
It's Alaska Lee.
I am Natasha Prasad.
I'm Megan Hemingway.
I'm Leanne Johnson.
My name is Snezhana Baikova.
I'm Kate Schroeder.
My name is Natasha Hurlbert.
My name is Rachel.
My name is Deborah Lee Smith.
I'm Rebecca Amzalag.
And I'm an actress and producer.
I'm an actress based in New York City.
Writer, actress.
I'm an actor.
Actor and filmmaker.
I'm an actress based in Los Angeles.
And I'm an actor, singer-songwriter.
I'm an actress.
I'm a model actress based out of Calgary, Alberta.
I'm an actor and a musician.
I am an actress based in Toronto, and I want to thank you so much for watching.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you so much for watching.
Thanks for watching.
And thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you for watching.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks so much for watching.
Thank you so much for watching.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you so much for watching.
Thanks for tuning in to the Chat with Dan show.
I definitely feel like sometimes, especially with theater, Brittany, and I'm sure a lot of us have done theater, and you can tell me if you agree. I feel like when you're doing a character for a long period of time, like every night, it can really kind of become part of you in a weird way. And then there's like this severing when it's over, but it's never been like a negative for me. Sometimes it's weird, but.
Yeah, like little mannerisms or something that your character does. You're like, why am I doing that? And then you're like, oh, that's just, I remember I was playing, I was in Oklahoma and I was playing Gertie, who has a very obnoxious laugh. And for like 3 months after it, I like just had this laugh. I'm like, what is happening? And you really have to take yourself out of it. I'm not the type of actor who's like, I have to be method. I have to live in the character. Like that does not work for me. Like I need to be able to keep my work life and my personal life separate. But yeah, you do find just kind of these little isms, especially like Brittany mentioned, when you're in a character for a long time, or there's a lot of, it is more of a lead role. You have a lot more focus on kind of that character development. Sometimes they do little bits will sneak in and make an impact on you.
Yep. When I played Eliza Doolittle, I would just go into Cockney accent all the time. It was obnoxious. That's all.
Yeah, I think it's like really important as an actor to kind of know what your technique does for you. And what I mean by that is like if your technique really causes you to lean into the imaginary circumstances of something, right? It's like you're not using your life. You're using this imaginary world that you're building for this person, and you're asking what if, and you're creating more empathy within yourself. So I think if you're really leaning into healthy technique, I don't think you're always, you could be very tired after playing something because your body doesn't know the difference between pretend and real. So like if you are doing a scene that's like super intense, like your body's going to think you just went through something super intense, but your mind, your emotions, your heart, like if you're leaning into the technique and really employing it as the way it ought to be employed, I don't think you ever come home with obviously some of the isms, sure, but like in terms of being negatively impacted emotionally, I don't think you come home with it. I don't think you do. I think you come home with more empathy and you come home tired. And then I think if that's how you've come home, you've done a good job.
I think that those of us who come from theater have the advantage of having a lot of training around sort of your theater clothes and then your street clothes, and being able to sort of take a character off and then go back to you. But I do know a lot of young actors who don't do theater training, who I coach a lot up here. I'm in Vancouver, and I do a lot of coaching, and a lot of these young actors, they come in and they want to be movie stars, and they just want to feel everything, and they're not that healthy with it, and they don't have that advantage. I try and tell all of them, like, maybe go do some plays, maybe go train in the theater a little bit. I really do think it's the best way, because Emma Thompson just talked about this in an interview recently. She said doing theater really solidifies that feeling for you as a person of, and now I'm acting and now I'm not, because you're literally stepping onto a stage. Your energy level, your voice, your breath, everything ratchets into this other zone when you're acting. And even though it's not quite the same physiologically when you're on screen, that mental sort of line is there in a more healthy way. Whereas I think a lot of young actors who come in and they just go straight into on screen, sometimes they do bring their characters home. They don't have the healthiest way of filtering. I use him as a bit of an example, but Heath Ledger had no professional training whatsoever. And so, I'm not saying that, that this, led to his really tragic passing or anything like that, but he was known to not have the healthiest boundaries between his work and himself. And so I think that working on that in a really more conscious way in the film community would be really good. And I do try, and I see a lot of my peers out here who are coaches working on that and making sure that we're encouraging young new actors to understand that you don't have to, you don't have to live the emotional truth of the character outside of the work, and even when you're in the work, you're not fully that person. It's so important to keep encouraging that good boundary there. Boundaries.
Yes,
I love the
that's
boundaries.
right.
It's so
Boundaries.
interesting too, Stephanie, that you say that it's like a phenomenon with a lot of the actors you coach with, because I wonder too if there is sometimes a little bit of glamorization with the Austin Butler being Elvis for 2 years, or people being the Joker and all this stuff. All
method
the
acting.
Jeremy Strong stuff with Succession and the tension that he has with his castmates.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? It's also just a wonder too if people feel like, oh, well, those performances are so great, so that's what I have to do to put myself in there, rather than realizing like, no, it is okay and it is healthy to have that little bit of separation. Those actors tend to be the rarity, not the standard, but those acting techniques oftentimes get a lot more press. They get a lot more buzz. They get a lot more like, oh, this person just threw themselves into it so much. And it can sometimes, again, kind of folks who are very impressionable, who are just looking to get that answer of how can I be like them? Sometimes it's easy to say like, oh, well, if I just do that, then it's going to allow me to have that kind of performance.
But Austin Butler, like, this is the thing that I think people don't connect. Like, Austin Butler, sure, he looks a lot like Elvis. That's great. And then they paid him a lot of money and they gave him a year and a half of prep time, and it's like, of course he became Elvis. If somebody gave me that much money and that much time, I would become Elvis.
Yeah. Well, look at Daniel Day-Lewis. Like, Daniel Day-Lewis took 2 or 3 years to become Lincoln. Like, he like, I get it to a point, but like when he did My Two Left Feet and his father passed away, he went to the funeral in the wheelchair as his character. Like, you have to have your wall. Oh yeah. Look at Jared
He
Leto
also
he
walked off stage in his last theatrical production because it became too real for him. It was like it was scary, and he walked off in the middle, and he has not been on stage since. I think it's not like a certain intensity level that doesn't allow you to differentiate.
Actually, it seems, this is my opinion on that, he seems like a very insecure actor. Like, oh my God, like, he's Daniel Day-Lewis, he's brilliant, his result is incredible, but I think there's a reason why he's retired now. He couldn't do it anymore.
You can't do that. It's not sustainable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, I'm sorry.
No, you go.
I was gonna say, even Gary Oldman, like, he was doing a show or a movie where he had an American accent, and he lost his British accent because he didn't. At the end, he had to do a coach to bring back his British accent because he couldn't separate when he got off of set to talk as his British normal born accent. He was stuck in this American accent, and he hated it, and he had to get a coach to bring him back. So you have to put up that, like, mime wall, if you will, where you're on set, I am this character, but the moment I'm out of this box, I'm back to Tim.
Yeah.
Even when it comes to relationships. Like, personal relationships too. That's a huge one, I think, that, people forget about is, we go on set, you fall in love with somebody, and it's totally possible to do that. And then you leave and you have to separate that, otherwise it can just wreak havoc on your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and yeah, it affects your personal life too. Like, I always think of the story of Adrian Brody when he was doing The Pianist, of how he left his fiance because he just couldn't separate it. And it's, every actor their own process. Like, I'm not here to judge, you know, I'm going to do me, you do you, but I just can't imagine like my work is my work and my life is my life, and I want to be able to maintain both sides of it. And to say that my personal life is going to be the ultimate sacrifice, to me, is just not, it's not worth it. Like, we're humans first and foremost. Like, you're a person first and foremost. You know, if you are only an actor, you know, what kind of life is that? Because you're gonna have downtime. You're gonna, like, may we all be so lucky that this career goes our whole life and we are constantly working, you know, up until we pass away on stage or whatever happens. But you know, that's scary to me, that like some actors would rather sacrifice everything for this, because then they lose that part of themselves.
Well, and I find that, you know, the further along my career goes and sort of the bigger sets I'm on and the more, you know, whew, like, I can't believe I'm working with that person, jobs I get. Nobody wants to talk about acting on set, really. Like, maybe every once in a while, but all these people want to talk about their kids and their lives, you know, like the actors that have been in this a really long time, longer than any of us, who I see having the careers that I aspire to, and really the lifestyle I aspire to as an actor. Their lives are so full. You know, acting is truly the job. It's just their job. You know, it's not the be all end all. And I mean, but it's also just common when you know, when you're less advanced in your career and you've been working so hard, because it does take a lot of work to, you know, crack through those first few barriers in this industry, and then to kind of feel like, oh, okay, I can finally take a breath. It's natural for it to feel like it. I think it's like taking over your whole world, but that, I hope that a lot of people let that go at a certain point, because you want to work with people who are interesting. You want to work with people who are well-rounded humans who, you know, have lives outside of this industry.
Yeah, and that is something that I realized last year, actually, after I know many of us have done this for many years, like doing drama and comedy, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I realized last year, after a very long bout of depression, actually, I was like, I think I want to have more fun while I'm working. Like, I think I want to feel more joy while I'm working. So I actually made the decision. I was like, I think I'm just going to focus on comedy this year. Like, I love comedy. That's where I feel like my most self, I feel like my most joyous. And it's been really great, like making that transition just for me. So it's kind of an invert of this question, because it was kind of like, that was based on what was going on in my personal life. But bringing that joy into my work, like in that way, and having that kind of boundary has been very helpful to me, because it has brought a lot of the joy back. It's brought a lot of the spontaneity, a lot of why I got into the business back, just for me personally. So that was a fun little breakthrough. I was like, okay, yeah, like, because I want to have fun at work. I want to enjoy myself, and like that was a way for me to do that, because things can be very heavy, whether you're in the business, the actual work. I mean, like you're talking about, Jenna, like there's lots of aspects to it. So there are things we can do too, like kind of tap into ourselves, but like, what makes the most sense for me right now in my life, in my work, in whatever, and so that things are sustainable. Yeah, like you were saying, Brittany.